Uh-oh. Smells like Smurfs. That's right. We've spotted a Smurf, folks. We just don't know who it is just yet. And if anyone does know, I appreciate your help in spying on this person, discovering who this crafty fellow is we've got Blue Elephant versus the Muslim. Now, the Muslim, you may be confused. You may have thought that was a Smurf because we've seen the Muslim versus his chin, and we're not sure who's the real one anymore. No, this is the Muslim. This person has played quite a few games of AoE 4. They are not on a Smurf. This fiend, however, this person right here, yes, you know who you are, although it may be confusing because they're both playing China. The one in the red, because red symbolizes enemies, guys. Blue Elephant, I don't know who he is, but he's definitely a Smurf. I'm 100% certain of that. The guy has 19 games played, I believe it was, and currently is sitting 86th on the leaderboard with 95% win rate. So he's only lost one of his 19 games so far. Maybe he's just a god tier player from like a different game. I don't think so, guys. I'm also, by the way, I just want to highlight that I'm disappointed in him here because it is a China versus China matchup. I was so excited. When I saw a Smurfer called Blue Elephant, I was like, someone's cheesing Delhi. They've got to be cheesing Delhi. They're going to have all the insights. They're going to be able to suck all that juice out of their brain and spurt it onto you guys. Okay, this is starting to sound like someone that doesn't belong on YouTube, belongs in a different streaming website. But the point is that I expected someone who's spamming Delhi and just milking all the little tidbits, discovering all the strategies. He's not. He's playing all kinds of things. He's playing China right here. And I think he's only has one Delhi game out of the 19. So I'm disappointed in that regard. I hope he fixes it. You cannot have a name with elephant in it and not spam the crap out of Delhi. But he's at least keeping that mix up. Like I said, he's not committing to one civ. He's not cheesing his way to victory in that regard. He's just cheesing his way to victory in the smurfing regard to get up that ladder quick. And opening-wise, I think we haven't seen... Yeah, so this is the interesting part to me, is he went onto the gold vein instantly, and we don't see this that often. I feel like the high-level China players are doing more they're more in line with what the Muslims are doing right now, which is the Imperial Official monitoring production over a mill to gather that extra 2 per drop-off, right? Which you're seeing right here. Like, he's getting additional food. Which is why when you look at the income per minute, like, the Muslims ahead in this regard. Blue Elephant's ahead on gold, mainly just because the Muslims' only form of getting gold so far has been to just drop off cash produced in the mill. And that's the difference, right? Like, the Muslim, I feel like, yeah, he's going to be slower on the tech up, as we're going to see here. But I definitely think he's going to be more healthy in the coming minutes income-wise. Because this is what I like about the Imperial Official play, right? His food is only lower because he invests in the Imperial Official. And that's something that Blue Elephant hasn't done. That gives you a degree of inflexibility, in my opinion. So the amazing thing about the Imperial Official, for those that still aren't familiar, or have only just got out of bed and discovered Age of Empires 4 is released, because I feel like I always go over it, but it's fun to always go over it for those new to the channel, is that they not only can take gold from buildings that, you know, basically buildings make gold by producing units, having resources drop off of them. You can see the coins there. They collect that and take that back. There's other things they can do. They can supervise a building, and if they supervise a production building, all the drop-offs give an extra 20%. Pretty cool. They can also supervise a production building, other than a TC, because that would be broken. And the reason you supervise it is because it increases, as you can see there, the rate at which you produce units by 200%. So this means that, like, for example, say you're in a China versus Mongols matchup, and the Mongols obviously have that potency of being able to use the Uvu to double unit production at times. You can beat that with a single racks or a single archery range, because you'll be producing those units 3 times as quickly. And that's the cool power of China. I think China, like, people start to utilize it a little bit better in the early game and realize that while they definitely have this huge power spike around the clock tower, so around castle age timing, to get those really potent, tanky, bulky clock tower springles out, they can definitely do things before that. It's just obviously because you don't usually play too much into horsemen because you want to boost your economy because you're very strong in that regard, people tend to eke out an advantage in tech free when they invest their wood and gold across into those siege lines. So Blue Elephant is going to hit the fuel age, but look at the difference, right? Like, the difference to me wasn't that impressive, and it's mainly because Blue Elephant didn't invest that many people into constructing it. It's the same for the Muslim, but the difference is when you look at the income per minute right now, like, the Muslims is cut down. He's suddenly just, like, diversified everything, but it's because of this. It's because the Muslim is going for an eco boom play. off the back of a second TC. And that is something that I don't think is being matched. He's now on the stone line, but he's going to be delayed in that regard. And that's why I would give Muslim a slight edge at this point in the game, is his second TC is going to be going up much sooner, and you don't really gain much from reaching Tech 2 quickly as China, really, unless you expect someone to rush you, or unless you plan to rush yourself, which I 100% do not expect to see from either player here, given the openings. So Tech Up will be complete. I wonder if the Muslim will still go back for the second feudal age landmark. I actually like the idea of it on 2 TCs. I think it's incredibly powerful. Like, you know, the quicker production time with 2 TCs. It's almost unassailable and allows you to just stop at 2 TCs. It means you don't have to keep more people on stone. That being said, I really like the idea of continuing to gather stones as the game goes on as China. I think China is incredibly effective at aggressive keeps. Most people place keeps to try and defend locations, hold choke points. China is probably, hands down, the best Civ at aggressive keep placements. Just because of that ridiculously boosted construction speed, rather, on buildings, right? Second TC is going to be dropped. And this is the other thing that also makes them amazing that the TC drops, right? I think if you're playing China and you're only ever playing off 1 TC, you need to justify it to me very heavily. It has to be like we being heavily rushed and we're rushing ourselves, like one of those type of things. Because otherwise, you should always be going for second TC, because 1, you build it so quickly. 2, it synergizes really well when you go back for the Song Dynasty villager production times. It just allows you to boom vastly ahead of any other Civ in the game. Interesting walling coming out from Blue Elephant as well. So he hasn't walled the bot side, but he's walled the side where he's actually placed his Barbican in the sun. So suggests to me he's planning to push his eco out top right more than bot left, but then I see this TC down here. I like this play, but I would like to see you also wall off the vulnerability point if your concern is that you're going to get rushed. Which, as we can see, we have God vision. We know he's not going to, but when we look at the player's vision, now this is all Blue Elephant sees right now. He's only just getting eyeballs on the base, and he will spot out that TC now being constructed. So this is where Blue Elephant should identify he's behind. And then he's going to have to make a pivot choice. Do I then try and go more greedy, eco even further, or do I find a way to get aggressive up against Muslim, knowing that he's eked out a slight advantage on the economy front over me? Which, yeah, you can see there's a 2 Villi right now. No real military influence, just the scouts. Layout of base, by the way, I quite like the way that the Muslims structured his, right? The Barbican Sun perfectly placed to cover this entry, and then the other one, TC will have full vision, and also you have choke points to expand. When I look at Blue Elephants, like this, obviously once again covering the choke point, but pushed pretty far out, which is why the scout's able to run past. Will die anyway due to the TC. But there's wraparound points here, right? So this is where the Barbican feels a bit rough. I think like his ability to block these areas off is a bit tougher. That being said, there is a small gap for Muslim, but he's already going to address that with a wall of his own. So yeah, both of them just playing into that Barbican and looking to expand there. It could be we see that they try and set up trade routes. We have seen a lot more players engaging with trade on the French Pass, just because it's an easily defendable map to do that, right? So you can get the down payment in and then definitely make your investment back, because if someone's reaching your trade line, they've basically already breached your primary economy line in most cases. Ooh, oh no, he boxed him in! Okay, Blue Elephant, you sneaky goose. He caught the villager in the corner, so the Muslim's going to lose his villager, which means the walls aren't going to go up. Which means another villager's going to have to come out and address this. He already has one walk-in. Okay, has he revealed himself? I think he actually has. Oh no, yeah, they see him. And they'll move across. So Palisade still won't be complete. That's going to be 2 villages lost. That's a bit of a stinger. Remember, this is mirror matchup, right? So when you look at the eco front, this is about to match them up. In fact, Blue Elephant now has the edge over him. Surprising he has the edge when it was just one villager produced different there. So it seems to me like there may have been... Yes, there it is. So I don't think the Muslim went for the Imperial Academy yet. Bit of an error here. If you're playing a very kind of defensive economy style, he really should have been into the second landmark quicker than he is right now. Which, I mean, where is his food going? It can't just be villager production, right? He must have got some sort of tech or something. It seems like he was neglecting his food, which would fit, right? Like when I look at how many people on food, if we compare the two, yeah, look, it's double the number in Blue Elephant's base. This is how he's able to maintain it and get the quicker Imperial Academy. Makes me question really where, like, there's a huge prioritizing in gold, which would have made sense if you were thinking about a Castle Age timing. But if you do intend to go back for this Imperial Academy, I much prefer Blue Elephant's opening. into the feudal age, that is. How many Imperial officials have both of them got as well? So they're both staying on 1. I always like monitoring these type of details. These are the type of systems that people are trying to min-max, right? Like with HRE, the moment you go over 10 villages per, like, you know, prelate outside of the influence of Arkham Chapel, do you build another prelate? Do you go to the next 10? Like, where is the kind of fold point where it becomes valuable to do, right? It's the same with the Imperial officials in a lot of ways. Like, we actually just see Muslim switches up fully. So he actually grabs 2 more Imperial officials. Meanwhile, Blue Elephant hasn't bothered. So he's still got just 1 Imperial official. I think Imperial officials definitely get more value on the military side of things at this stage in the game. Like, don't get me wrong, there's definitely value in the economy. But to me, it's more about the ability to produce a standing army super quick as a reaction to what your opponents are doing. That's not to say that they don't have economy value, but definitely, like, feudal castle age pivot points, it gets more value as, like, a I need to be aggressive type unit. And yeah, just on the tax collection, so a decent amount of cash coming in. If we look at the income per minute, I think the Muslim's now definitely, like, it says he's not ahead, but you can see he's been saving up. He's been hoarding crazy. Blue Elephant is close to a situation where he can go castle age, so I expect them to have very tight, similar timings. And the difference is going to be that Blue Elephant will continue to scale more. Because remember, when we look at one of these people, one of them decided to not go Song Dynasty, despite what this says. The other one... Oh, wait, did he? Did I miss it? I'm pretty sure I didn't miss it. Okay, so ignore this, guys. Yeah, it is what I thought. The UI is even more buggy, or feels like it's more buggy, when you have 2 China players. So the way this currently works is it's to do with the load-in. If you load in looking at 1 player, it won't let you check, like, if say it's like China versus Mongols. If you load in, look at the China player, it'll let you see the dynasties, but if you load in, look at the Mongol player, you cannot see dynasties at all. And this is why this is going to be more confusing for you guys, is when you're talking about a China-China matchup, it doesn't actually switch to their dynasty. It doesn't show you what their dynasty is. Because right now, the Muslim is still only on the Tang dynasty. And in fact, isn't even bothering with going up to Song Dynasty. He's just going to go for the astronomical clock tower. So to me, the Muslim is on a very thin kind of timing now. He has to hit an aggressive stance in this game in the next 5 minutes, or you're just going to see a boom coming out of Blue Elephant. In fact, look at the difference already. Guys, this is the power of the Song Dynasty. This is why I say you really shouldn't neglect it. If nobody is forcing a fight in your base, if there's no aggression coming your way, 69, by the way, nice. You should, I'm such a kid. You should always be getting your hands on the Imperial Academy to ensure that you have, like, after getting the Barbican Sun, always get Barbican Sun first to make sure you get that Song Dynasty production speed. Because look at it. It's every 13 seconds. Meanwhile, in the base of other China, 20 seconds. This is pre-industrial China versus post-industrial China, folks. I think that should paint the picture. And look at the difference in timing as well. Like, Blue Elephant is barely behind him. The astronomical clock tower, sure, it's like half a minute to a minute later, but the difference between these 2 people is that one of them is going to be able to actually field a much larger army much more quickly. And that person isn't the Muslim. Who, by the way, also had his dude supervising research in this building, which, for those that don't know, supervise doesn't actually doesn't affect research from what I've seen so far. I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain I'm not. I didn't click quick enough to double check, but never once have I felt like it went quicker when I tried it. I've seen it. So he just kind of had an inefficiency play. It's a small detail when you have 4 Imperial officials out, right? And there you go. So he's actually okay, what? Wow. So, interesting play from the Muslim. He didn't go for the Song Dynasty, but he's skipping straight forward to the Yuan Dynasty. This is what this play is, because he's going for the second, third age one. He's getting the Imperial Palace, right? This is cool for its ability, by the way. It's a very unique ability. It lets you activate to see all enemy villages for 10 seconds. So he'll basically get scout and vision on the layout of Blue Elephant's base without actually having to send scouts over there. Not that he'd be able to with all the walls going down to hide all this info. And I'm not sure if Blue Elephant would have expected this. You know, like, you always get astronomical clock tower, right? So you probably don't necessarily expect your opponent to go straight into Yuan Dynasty off the back of this. It's an interesting play. You can see the benefits here, right, with the speed increase. So it does mean, like, villagers, etc., can be quicker at moving around and dropping off and whatever. Not the worst idea. If he's planning Fire Lancers, I'm actually a big fan of this. It could also be the Granary, which is an interesting idea as well. Granary is just kind of like how you turn China into a... I'm basically, like, England levels of farming efficient on farms. We'll have to see if he does go for those granaries, though. Like, he could definitely afford them, right? Right? Yeah, 250 wood. He's got enough. But currently not bothering. But I have to think that that's what it's about. Like, the villager speed is nice, but it's not going to affect most of these lines, right? You're going to have villagers sitting on farms next to drop-off points. You're going to have villagers farming next to mining camps. So you don't really benefit that much from that speed element of them moving quicker. And the only other thing I could think is if he's going for Lancers, but I have not seen a single stable drop yet, so it doesn't look like his intent is to go for Fire Lancers, which are amazing units, by the way. They have huge amounts of burn damage, very effective at taking down structures. And meanwhile, Blue Elephant doesn't care. He's just continuing to benefit from being in the Song Dynasty, and he's taking straight up into Imperial Age. Meanwhile, with the Muslim, almost having the... well, he's got the required amount of gold, but he's far behind the food. And he could almost have the required amount if he chooses to trade heavily. But there's no doubt that Blue Elephant's economy is looking mighty strong compared to the Muslims right now, when one's sitting at 78 and... Try not to scream, guys. 100 already for Blue Elephant. And there you go. So Blue Elephant techs it up. Now, he's still hanging the Song Dynasty. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, this, I swear it just didn't it, guys, is it me or did it just switch back for a sec there? It did, right? I swear it says Song Dynasty. Am I imagining things or did it say Song Dynasty from right? This is what I mean. Like, it bugs out. It's so clunky right now. I hope they fix it. But now we will see them both in the Song Dynasty, the Yuan Dynasty, so it'll get less confusing. As he's now building the Imperial Official. So just, in my opinion, Blue Elephant giving a very clear breakdown of why it's more valuable to have Song Dynasty than just ignore it and go straight for Yuan. I wonder if the Muslim will watch this back and feel the same way. Like, did he feel he was ahead at this stage? Because he's working off of, like, blind instinct, right? No one's had information on each other's side of the map for a good few minutes now due to the walling. So it has to be all based on instinct and what you're, like, the timings you're seeing. You know your opponent beat you to Imperial Age, but is your thought, like, did he stop off for any of the dynasties? Didn't he? Like, how are you feeling this? Did he go 3 TCs? Like, what is the economy stance of my opponent? Was it just a rushed imp age, or does he have the economy to back what's coming? And the problem for the Muslim is this lack of knowledge. This blinding factor in the game is going to hurt him heavily because his opponent does most definitely have the economy to support this tech boom. And I feel like this game is approaching a one-fight ends it situation, actually. And the problem is that because the Muslim has very little info on what his opponent is doing, that one fight will overwhelm him. Because the Muslim, now able to begin the tech up, he can't afford it, is going to be far, far behind his opponents. Blue Elephant has already started to scale into a military force. You can actually see the stables being dropped. So he is going into the Horsemen. Oh, sorry, Fire Lancers. For a moment, I was like, Horsemen seems a bit rough here, but Fire Lancers definitely makes more sense. So, of course, as we said, these units, as you can say, they get bonus damage against both the siege and the buildings. This will give him the edge in any fight that involves Springalds, because he'll be able to rush the Springal line and burn them down in the blink of an eye. And I also love the fort keeps. So he already has vision over this area. In fact, we can see that. He should be able to see anyone sneaking in. Of course, his north flank is guarded against by these stone walls as well. So it's very hard for Muslim to make a move anywhere but directly into Blue Elephant's army. And more of these clock tower bombards coming. Is he actually? Yeah, so he is still producing them quicker. And he sees the Muslim has reached Imperial Age, but you have to be feeling comfortable if you're Elephant, right? Your opponent is very clearly behind you, by a decent margin as well. I love this move by Muslim, though. Look at this. So he builds all the way around the Spirit Way, because remember, this makes the cost of Dynasty-based units 30% cheaper, and you get access to all of them by building the Spirit Way. So now he's going to be able to spam out probably Fire Lancers. I mean, it's the only thing in here worth it, right? So he's going for the Fire Lancer play himself. That does mean he's mirror matching, but it also means that he's behind, right? Because Blue Elephant's already starting to field an army. And that's going to be the problem he's going to run into here. But he's basically doing this because you're playing against China, and you know that they're going to be... Like, a good Chinese player will play heavily off of structures, right? And that's what we're seeing out of Elephant, is he's now got a second keep in the central area. So the whole idea is you want a raiding party that can get through these buildings quickly, and also deal with any, like, Springalds, Bombards, like, anything that comes out of the clock tower that could potentially counter you. You want to burn it down quickly. The crazy part is that they're basically playing similar strategies off of no vision. It's just obviously Blue Elephant is 100% ahead in terms of where he's at economy-wise, military scaling, and the bombards, as we can see them go into action against the outposts. And Springfields need to be careful. They're going to be burnt quickly if they don't get behind the walls. Fire Lancers, not quite enough, but you see how potent they can be with just 2 of them throwing mollies at her. And there you go, more of the villages exposed. So off of the central gold completely. And the bombards can arrive quickly to allow you through, but he's going to back off for the moment. The reason being is that this is not enough Fire Lancers to feel confident about going through that wall, because even if you break it down, it's still 5 Springles that would have sniped out half of you by then. But got to be content with the fact you got your opponent off. What the hell are these villagers doing? Nothing is the answer. But yeah, you got to be feeling confident. You force your opponent off the central mines. He doesn't really have a play in the north. You don't know this for sure, but if he does, like, you know, he's going to be split attention, right? And this is the thing, because you now have a 4 base, if your opponent is stationed in the north, you can react quickly from here, or you can continue to push forward in the south, which is what he does. He breaks the walls, charges in, and because the solution is Fire Lances, it's not going to be a great one. Blue Elephant trying to stay on top of those Springolds, trying to move through. He doesn't care if he loses the Fire Lancers to do this. It's definitely worthwhile for him, as they do gap close onto the Springolds. Another one is going to fall. Meanwhile, Bombards, I think, have backed off. Yeah, so he's happy with this. You know, you've done some damage. You've opened up the base a bit. You've applied pressure. Also, the Muslim forced to bring all of his villagers across here, so they weren't working. And just basically interrupting his eco. And you can see how you get that advantage further as it continues to expand here. Now granary's down, so we talked about that increased drop-off rate for the farms being achieved. And Sacred Site's being capped, so forcing even more pressure. Push out. Spirals being built again. Remember, they come out quick from the clock tower. But these Bombards, they snipe out efficiently in equal numbers, but they are a lot more pricey to build and a lot more pricey to lose. Which is why he's bringing the villagers out. He wants to repair this, right? So he's getting infrastructure down, switching in the racks now. Remember, you saw your opponent go Fire Lancers, right? So just building spears solves everything. And I think that's what he intends to do. And there you go. Repairs onto the Bombards. Both Sacred Sites are under the control of Blue Elephant, so you will have to see him move quickly out to Muslim. The Muslim still trying to produce these Fire Lancers quick enough to counter out what his opponent is doing. But he's trickling them in just for vision. And this is bad. Like, he's seeing what his opponent is doing, but I feel like he's jumped the gun. He only sees the racks. He has to assume spears are coming. He doesn't really get any info that's worthwhile. Instead, sacrifices, what was it, 3, 4 of his very small Fire Lance army, which is why you'll see the charging from Blue Elephant now. 2 Bombards is baited in the Muslim. He continued to double down on these Springles, and against Fire Lances, they will not last long. Continues to snipe out. Not enough here to hold back the forces of the red. The villagers get involved under the Bombards, but remember, the Keep can now start to snipe them out as the Bombards back up. And damage done once again. Fire Lancer advantage now, this time in the Muslim's favor. Springald Army did get some damage in on it, though. I think he lost 3 or 4 of them. But still, Springald's not really a great solution against the Keep here. Bombards push in again. Quick snipe outs. Ooh, the backup! He gets one out just in time. I love the way Blue Elephant's min-maxing these, right? Like, the Springolds will get traded out fairly evenly, but the Bombards are just tanky enough to take all this damage and not care. So now, Spear's starting to be produced. More Fire Lancers coming out as well. And double Keep. The Muslim, he's got to be feeling under pressure now. He charges in, but look how many are here already for Blue Elephant. His economy is just too strong. The Muslim, barely any surplus. Blue Elephant over 2,000 in the gold and the food. And I feel like this might just be the point where you tap out. Like, what do? You haven't transitioned at all. You're still under the Fire Lancers. You can back up for the moment, but you know you're boxed in, and you know you're done. He calls the GG. The mirror matchup goes the way of the Smurf. And now I know why it's called Blue Elephant. Smurfs are blue. So are you.